So, welcome back to the Breakthrough Bestie podcast. I am your host, Angela Brock, money strategist for women who are ready to take control of their finances and build real wealth. So, we are continuing the series on money identity and decision fatigue. So, if you haven't watched the previous videos, I encourage you to go back and watch them. But let's get into tonight's episode. So, most people believe that financial success comes down to discipline. You just need to be more disciplined, spend less, track everything, pay closer attention, try harder. And now I'm not going to pretend and say that discipline doesn't work because it does, but it's only temporary. Because if discipline were the permanent solution, then most women wouldn't still feel uncertain. They wouldn't still feel disconnected. And they wouldn't still feel like something isn't fully aligned. Because discipline can control behavior, but only clarity can change behavior permanently. You see, discipline is effort that's applied to behavior. So it's going to require attention and energy and consistency. And discipline works when you're focused, when you're motivated, and when you are mentally available. But discipline fades when your attention shifts, not because you are a failure or because you failed, but because discipline depends on sustained effort. And effort is not permanent, clarity is. So think of it this way. Think of a time or a period where you were extremely disciplined financially. You were paying close attention, you tracked all the things, you felt in full control of your finances. And then when life got busy, your attention shifted. And slowly, without even realizing it, that discipline that you had faded. Not all at once, but gradually. That wasn't considered a failure, was it? No, that is the limitation of discipline. You see? So imagine forcing yourself to stand up straight. Right now, I am trying to work on my posture. And anytime I feel like I'm trying to force myself, it is something that I have to think about and adjust my posture intentionally. And I will hold it, but eventually my body starts to relax. It's not because I'm lacking discipline in this area, but because holding my posture right, it's going to require, or it requires a lot of effort. Now, imagine my body just naturally aligning. I'm not forcing it. There isn't a constant correction. That's the difference between discipline and clarity. That discipline is going to force a behavior, whereas clarity changes the default behavior. Make sense? So, discipline is going to require you to override your default patterns. Clarity instead is going to change your default patterns. So, when something becomes clear, your brain no longer needs to force it to maintain it because your behavior naturally starts to align with what you understand. Clarity reduces the need for discipline, and then discipline becomes reinforcement, not your default or even survival. Women are taught to solve problems through effort. So we work harder, we pay closer attention, we become more disciplined. Even effort has served us in our career, in our responsibilities, in our life. Effort has created our stability. But financial clarity isn't created through effort alone because effort manages behavior and clarity changes perception, then perception then shapes our behavior automatically. Think about it this way. I want you to now think about something that you understand deeply. You don't need discipline to maintain awareness of it. Your awareness exists naturally. It's not forced. There's no effort that drives it. Financial clarity is going to work the same way. Once clarity exists, behavior aligns naturally, not through constant discipline, but rather through understanding. Discipline forces temporary control, which requires constant effort. Clarity, on the other hand, creates permanent alignment, and then permanent alignment becomes natural. So let's make this practical. Think about when you first learned to drive. Every moment required discipline. You think about everything. You think about your hand position. You think about your mirrors on the side and even your rearview mirror. You are constantly thinking about your speed and adjusting it. You're thinking about your position, not just in the on the freeway or on the highway or on the road, but even within the lane, within those lines. But over time, clarity replaces effort, and then driving becomes natural, almost like you're on autopilot. Not because now all of a sudden you're trying harder, but because you see clearly. Financial clarity creates that same shift. Behavior becomes natural and it's no longer forced. Does that make sense? Discipline without clarity creates mental fatigue. And I think we talked about this in a previous video. You are constantly monitoring yourself, correcting yourself, trying to control yourself. It's not because you lack capability, but because your brain hasn't fully integrated clarity. Clarity removes the need for constant monitoring. And because your behavior aligns naturally with what you understand, that clarity reduces effort, and effort no longer carries the entire burden. Where in your financial life, think about it this way, where in your financial life have you been relying on discipline instead of experiencing clarity? And if you are unsure, you'll think of an area that requires constant energy. That is going to be the area where clarity is needed to become part of how you naturally operate. This is why clarity changes everything, because clarity removes uncertainty. Your brain no longer resists engagement, and your financial life stops requiring constant discipline to manage. It becomes something that you just understand, something familiar, something that you don't have to think about, something that you direct naturally, not through force, but just through visibility. So here's your reframe and what I want you to understand. You are never lacking discipline. Discipline created your stability, but clarity is what is going to create a permanent confidence. That discipline helped you to survive. Clarity is what's going to help you to expand and to thrive. So I want you to ask yourself this question honestly. Have you been relying on discipline to manage something that clarity would make easier? Because remember, discipline manages behavior, clarity transforms behavior. And here's your anchor: you don't need to be, or you don't need to try harder. You need to see more clearly. And clarity alone is going to make that alignment natural. In the next video, we're going to talk about financial confidence and how it has nothing to do with income, because confidence doesn't come from earning more, it comes from seeing things clearly. If this video helped you to see your money differently, please subscribe so that you can continue building habits that lead to real wealth. Remember these two things. One, your breakthrough starts when you decide to take control. And then two, wealth isn't built by accident, it is built by the decisions that you make today. I'll see you next time.